This is not the Super Gundam. Why? Now that's the Super Gundam. Daban. Hello everyone, this is Modeling with Variety, and today we're taking a look at this 8817 or the Super Gundam by Daban to see if this superlative design of the Mark II supersedes our expectations. Let's take a look, shall we? Taking a look around the box, there's nothing really. Contrasting it though is when you open it, you'd see a lot of runners. And I will tell you this right now that almost all of these are going to be used. I'd estimate it at about 95% of it is used, and the things that are left over are just useless, which kinda sucks. There are a few things I want to address when it comes to this model kit. One is that it has polystyrene parts. Yes, Daban doesn't usually do this and just prints everything in ABS except for the polycaps of course, so using a regular plastic cement would theoretically work. Two is that how tightly they were packed. You may experience some warping with your parts, specifically with the longer parts of the Gundam, which you will see later. You even get a set of water slides to put on your Super Gundam and a mesh cloth. I don't really like the mesh cloth since they fray and it doesn't help that I have a poor track record with applying these things, so let's see how it goes. And it seems that, except for the frame, everything's modified, to the head and down to the G-Defensor parts, which is pretty neat. I hope the build experience is as good as how it looks so far. Time to build it up. First things first, this has a base of the MG Mark II 2.0, not the 1.0, the MG Mark II 2.0. I said that first because some people may be wondering if Daban chose the old MG since the 1.0 only had the Super Gundam version of it released and not the 2.0. Which is strange to be honest with you, since the Super Gundam is such a cool design and is even part of not only the anime but also the Versus series of games. You could even put the old G-Defensor from the old Super Gundam to the 2.0 kit as far as I know, so it strikes me as strange really. Anyway, to the kit itself. It looks fantastic. Daban did revamp the whole MG Mark II 2.0 from the head down to the G-Defensor. It has all these and details that the original Mark II 2.0 doesn't even have, such as on the head, the shoulders, the arms with its multiple part separation and tonal differences, surprisingly has a revamped elbow joint, the torso, and even has these green pieces for the cameras. Though this isn't accurate since the inside only must be green and the outside being the same color as most of the chest. A generous inclusion in my opinion. The hands are the same though. The skirts have more parts with gray on the underside of the front skirts and of course more panels and details. The legs construction is mostly the same, but the amount of detail is almost incomparable to the original. The most striking difference in my opinion, other than the panel lines, are the sides of the legs with different venting. The original 2.0 has these finned vents and the Daban one has unfinned ones in line with both the 1.0 and the OG line art of the Mark II. And the feet are almost the same other than the ankle armor being slightly different design. Basically, everything is changed or revamped. I'd argue that it has more part separation than even the RG. This kit has the two-tone thing RGs have with the tan accents complementing the slightly bluish-white this kit has. However, I don't fancy this color choice, since it's kind of a weird combination, specifically the yellowish worn color of tan if the RG style is what they were going for. I'd do a platinum gray, replacing the main white color of the Mark II, then the accents would be a darker tone of gray, like silver to French gray. And the rest I leave it as it is, if I were to make this Mark II. But that's just me, or maybe in the future. It still does look mighty impressive though. A point that I found interesting is that not only the parts are revamped, but also their runner placement as well. Excluding the frame parts, almost every runner in this box is totally new or revamped from the original Mark II 2.0 kit, which is amazing and means that this actually is totally remodeled from the ground up to be its own thing. Even the G-Defensor. Talking about the G-Defensor, the G-Defensor's major parts are totally remodeled from the original. There are a lot more part separation, and Daban gave the G-Defensor a more modern look when comparing to the original. The cockpit capsule is a different construction with gray parts in the vents for even more detail. The main body of the G-Defensor is smaller overall as you can see, and there are some small tan, yellow, and red parts which aren't at all present in the old one. The blue binders are much more detailed, and the wings have the blues as separate parts. Basically, everything is changed again. Alright, let's combine them to see how much has changed overall. Whew! Wow! It's absolutely impressive when combined, no? The Super Gundam really does make a statement. It really is super. But what's not super about it though is Daban has to cut costs somewhere, and they, as always, made the build experience terrible. The usual trifecta of bad stickers, bad tolerances, and bad polycaps plague this model, as with every bootleg model release. So some of the parts require a tremendous amount of effort just to get them right. My hands hurt in the process of building this model. It's kinda bad. It's not all bad though. There are some perfectly fitting ones, that's for sure. But keep the fitting issues in mind when you get this kit. Though, there's this one peg that you shouldn't trim. It's this peg right here. This holds the kit together, and when the G-Defensor is on the back, this peg will be vital to the stability of the kit. Do not trim this peg. Another thing that's really bad in my opinion is the mesh tubing the Mark II comes with. The problem with this mesh piping is that it's of a lower quality than of Bandai's. I mean, of course, right? But how bad was it? The manual didn't specify how much wiring was to be used, so I basically had to guess, and it already frayed upon cutting it up, which led me to just trying to mend it by melting the ends and hoping that would fix the problem. It didn't. That's why you could see those frayed up ends on my kit right here. But did you experience this as well? I'm asking this because I might be going about this the wrong way, and I didn't pick up on Daban's instructions. Please leave a comment down below of your experiences with this kit. And with that said, let's move on to the articulation and gimmicks. The head can go up that far, down that far, and can rotate 360. The arm can move up to only that far, below 90 degrees. But it can still rotate at the peg all the way around. Can rotate at the bicep. Has that revamped double jointed elbow to give it a nice 180 degrees. And the tan part goes into the forearm for the cool factor. The hands are the same from the 2.0, in which other than having a ball joint, it has a hinge at the base of the hand to facilitate more natural hand positions. The fingers are split with 3 combined and a separate trigger finger. The torso supposedly has a joint in the middle from the 2.0, but it's made in a way that it lost it completely, so it could just rotate at the base of the model. The front and side skirts move out of the way for the leg. The back skirt is just static, but it does have a place where the bazooka can be stored. There's this joint at the inner waist unit that lets both the legs go forward for a farther kick or just a weird bending motion. The top of the thigh has a ball joint that lets the leg go front that far, back that far, and out that far. The thigh itself can rotate at the peg. The knee has a double joint and has that absolutely gorgeous armor sliding gimmick. The lower leg has this joint that moves a little bit, which helps in the feet articulation. The ankle armor moves as usual, and the feet could move forward that far, back that far, and pivots that much. It has a toe that goes up that far and down that far. And the back of the foot moves as well. The backpack's thrusters move like that. And the 2 wings on top of the backpack move just like that. The saber storage could move a little bit forward to facilitate the saber movement action of the kit. And of course, you could put the sabers into the hand, though you don't have saber blades included. But what you do have is a rifle, a bazooka, and the shield. The rifle and bazooka can fit into the hand just alright. And the shield has this extra piece that connects to the back of the arm to hold onto the shield. Extra cartridges are included, but they can't fit in any place unfortunately, both on the shield and the side skirts. Now for the G-Defensor. The G-Defensor is almost the same with the original, but again, it's kinda smaller. The cockpit capsule opens up. The white stabilizer rotates at the blue base. The wings move about 90 degrees. And there are these white feet for the G-Flyer mode of the Super Gundam that does this much articulation. This gray part moves front and backwards for the docking gimmick of the G-Defensor, and also holds the blue binder. One interesting thing to point out here is that the original has a locking system in place to make the G-Defensor more stable. This isn't present in this design. However, there are these tabs and an uncut hole in the aforementioned white feet, so this may be the use for those tabs and not just for detail. These parts move that much, and the front or top part opens up for the individually placed micro missiles. Yes, each missile is a separate part. And lastly, the long rifle that attaches to the right side of the G-Defensor can be detached and be used separately. It has two shields on the top and lower part, and is slightly bent due to the tight packaging I mentioned earlier in the video. And lastly, about seam lines. There are some around the kit unfortunately, such as on the head, the tops of the legs, and the weapons. But fortunately, these are pretty minimal and most of it are hidden, such as on the back of the head. And the base has this much articulation. And that's about it. Overall, this is a fantastic job by Daban to make an already established as one of the best master grades out there even better with more part separation, detail, and the G-Defensor. Though it does have less articulation, I cannot stress enough how great the inclusion of the G-Defensor is. The reason being that to make the Super Gundam in MG 2.0 form is that you need to find the now elusive Super Gundam that comes with the MG Mark II 1.0 and the G-Defensor. And of course, you have to get an MG Mark II 2.0, which, as you might have guessed, stacks up pretty quickly. And this just costs about $30. Couple this with the new almost Origin-like aesthetic of the Daban Mark II and its G-Defensor, you're in for a real treat when you get through the punishment of getting this built up. So yeah, that's about it. Sorry if this video took so long. I didn't expect this to be that much of an undertaking, not gonna lie. But what do you think? If you have comments, questions, or suggestions, leave those down below. Give a like if you want, and consider subscribing if you haven't. Thanks for watching.